Hello, Mike Fountain here, Capstone project presentation on Elio Motors' glide path to initiation of production via debt restructuring and with a focus on initiation of production. As a brief introduction, Elio Motors is an American automobile manufacturing firm based out of Phoenix, Arizona, with an operational factory available in Shreveport, Louisiana, through a lease with Racer Inc. Uh, Proposed product, sole product, is a unique three-wheeled enclosed vehicle design known as the Elio Autocycle, uh, classifiable differently in various states, typically though licensed and registered as a motorcycle, but with different helmet laws and seatbelt laws. As a three-wheeled vehicle, it's not classified by the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, as a car, and so it is not subject to some of the more costly safety features. Um, Price point very low, under $8,000, with some buy-in at $6,400 and a price elevation to over $7,000 recently, plagued unfortunately by 5 years of production setbacks, with initial production being slated for 2014. Some definite disappointment from their customer base, potential customer base, essentially because of insufficient cash at this point. Prior delay had been from design and engineering delays and interest in vertically integrating to include the production of a proprietary high-efficiency engine with a goal of 84 miles per gallon or greater. This has been deferred to an OEM off-the-shelf product distributable by Roush Industries. Currently, stockholder deficit $97 million. Cash on hand has increased from the end of fiscal year 2017 to about $7,000 cash on hand to $300 plus thousand dollars cash in the mid-year 2018. Brief overview analysis of Elio Motors Inc. Starts with the SWOT analysis. Notable strengths: superb leadership with 120 plus years of automotive experience across the board. Paul Elio being the design, really being the father of Elio. 64,000 plus pre-orders. They are a candidate for the Advanced Technology Vehicle Manufacturers Loan. This is a loan product we'll talk about in just a bit more, but they have $17 billion available. There is some executive branch delays at this point. They do have an existing production facility used to be used by GM, stopped production by GM in 2012. That's in the Shreveport, Louisiana marketplace in Caddo Parish, and an exceptionally ready labor force, skilled in automobile engineering. A few noticeable weaknesses, as we discussed already. They do have a limited cash. They do have some very high debt from loans to get to the point where they are now. They have had considerable production delays, and the ATVM is not a guarantee. It is possible that although Tesla got it, Ford got it, etc., Elio may not. I mean, there is some considerable waning social media support. Opportunities include increasing lobbying efforts at the DOE to increase the potential for ATVM candidacy. Initiation of production is genuinely the biggest opportunity that they've got. Potential threats. They've been delayed for a while now. It is possible to have someone emerge into this niche market, represented by competition from industry. If they don't obtain funding, it's going to be a serious uphill battle, potentially forcing them to withdraw as a going concern. And there's always a potential for more legal action. We have seen some already, at least one pre-order candidate suing to get his money back. Review of Elio financials, essentially broken down into these four categories: assets, liabilities, stockholder deficit, and needs for production initiation. Assets currently greater than $300,000 cash on hand, $26 million in non-refundable pre-orders, probably reclassifiable as an asset, and greater than $1 million in prepaid debt. This is an advantage over the SEC filing from last year. They've already done some good to improve their standing from an assets point of ability. From a liability point of view, company has $99 million in loans and interest and sublease guarantees. Stockholder deficit currently at $97 million. This is not an improvement from the year before. And more on the next slide on production initiation needs. What is Elio's estimation of what it's going to take to get the product produced? And this is it. This is the production initiation needs estimate by Elio as filed in as of the end of June 2018. Production tooling and equipment, total of $279 million. Notably, store fit up, sales and marketing, and a retail store expense. This is an initiation effort to sell Elio locally, distribute locally, customize locally. It's part of the grand scheme of Elio's production model. It is, however, representative of tens of millions of dollars that does not have to be available before production can commence. Without production, there's not going to be improvement in social media concern. There's not going to be any improvement, any genuine improvement of the bottom line, except for some financial engineering moves to resolve some of the debt structure problems. Wait for recommendations below, but this is essentially the estimate. You're looking at $376 million. I think we can trim that down. Few ethical concerns to discuss before any significant strategic initiative rollout. From a stockholder's point of view, from a stakeholder's point of view too, has been debated for decades whether or not the only interest of a firm should be their stockholders. Probably ethically, we should concern all stakeholders, with pre-order candidates being a considerable number. This is greater than 64,000 people with greater than $26 million on the line. I do believe it would be unethical to not consider these folks. Clearly non-refundable. It's all in the fine print. It's actually in the bold print. You don't get your money back. It's a non-refundable interest, non-refundable investment. Other stakeholders do include the Shreveport labor force. Citizens of Caddo Parish have been waiting for this since 2014. It's been deferred a few times. We do have some automotive manufacturing going on at the plant on a limited basis through Racer Inc. But the Elio is not present and not at the table and not producing at this point. And then overall concerns ethically to the environment. This is a responsible vehicle. It's a vehicle that's meant to be sourced 90% North American, so reduce transportation costs for the supplies. From a responsibility concern to the continent at large, 90% North American concern builds jobs. Depending on your political stance, that may be an important concern as well. We do have a few stakeholders, including stockholders and other concerned parties. Recommendations in a nutshell: manage debt, changes to the marketing structure, initiate production, initiate production, initiate production, manage the inventory on the front and back end, and try to bring the stockholders' equity up. A few very obvious ways to improve debt at this point: capital purchase to allow for consideration as an asset for the year of purchase, and then depreciate the asset as appropriate over time. Consider merger acquisitions as a way to move debt from one company to another, as Nissan did with Renault in the 90s. It's a very popular model. Carvana is an example indicated in the formal presentation. It's a company that can absorb some debt. It's aligned along an automotive distribution industry. Next most obvious way to improve finances is to take that ATVM loan, but it's not officially on the table. It's just being considered. And then there's the alternative loan category, some venture capital interest. These are things that are being discussed at Elio, things that do need to be pursued. As mentioned above, in a way to lower the initiation cost, the marketing budget is fairly excessive, especially when we compare it to prior years. It's a considerable increase. Knocking that down to $10 million gets you that much closer to the bottom line. From a timeline point of view, this is Elio's presentation at this point. This is the initiation of powertrain, still built in here. After this slide was produced, they've struck a deal with Roush so that this entire gray arrow goes away, hopefully representing an improvement in timeline overall. This arrow, this is where we are now from a vehicle's build-out point of view, as some of the E1 to test vehicles have been produced. From a production point of view, a little bit closer than June 2018, still not close enough. Nothing happens in business without making a sale. Elio has got to start producing. Debt management, absolutely critical. We've got to get that available cash up. We've got to get some decreased need for cash via manipulation of the marketing needs, getting rid of the storefront expenditure upfront prior to production. Seems fiscally responsible. We've got to get the product on the market. First 158 vehicles sold puts $1.1 million cash in their pockets. This can be used to reconsolidate debt, pay down some loans. finish all 64,000 pre-ordered vehicles, this is $474 million in the pocket of a firm that's not down that much. This would save the day. Options for inventory management on the front end: don't buy all the components all at once. This needs to be handled on a per run basis. Let's get the first 50 made, next 50, then we're at 158. On the back end point of view, let's not worry about distributing them through our retail storefronts. Let's use a Carvana model. Let's get them out on trucks, get them to people, make people happy, get them on the road, move the product forward. All of this amounts to getting the debt down, getting the product on the market, improving overall exposure and optics. We got $97 million in debt now. This is not good for the stockholder. The stock is tanking. Revenue from the sales, improved social media concern. This is how we get it done. And if we can get the first 158 vehicles on the road by the end of Q4 2019, by the end of Q1 2020, the stock goes up. We need to turn the stakeholder deficit into a stockholder equity. 30-second recap: manage the debt, get the cash up, get the cars on the road, and the stocks will follow. It's all doable. We just need a little bit of re-engineering.